when it was being told to me, I sort of deflected it away because that is just, it's scary at that age to be told you might not make it.
When he said that I had squamous cell cancer, I think it was a little bit of shock and disbelief. I remember my wife started crying.
It was complete shock. I'd never ever heard of testicular cancer. I didn't know somebody who was 22 years of age, it would be possible to get something like that. Many people only know of me as being Dr. Larry Einhorn's first successful cisplatin patient. In late September 27th of '74, he told me at this time that there was nothing more than he could do for me. The cancer was continuing to spread, and that's when he actually did suggest that I try a new chemotherapy. I could be one of the very first people in the world to ever try it. That turned out to be cisplatin.
So when experimental drugs come out, like cisplatin, you look at it in a variety of different tumors. And it was looked in many different tumor types with some minimal success, some moderate success, but in testicular cancer it had phenomenal success. Now for John Cleland had received several different standard forms of chemotherapy for his metastatic testicular cancer. He would have brief 2 or 3 month remissions. The cancer would come back again after second-line therapy, come back after third-line therapy. And the standard therapy at that time would have been hospice or just supportive care alone. But John had the courage to undergo a clinical trial. And by then we knew what the side effects of the drug were, but we had no idea if it would make him live 1 day longer, let alone cure his cancer some 40+ years later.
Since I discovered about platinum, I knew about MSU and the fact that Barney Rosenberg had discovered it here, and the story about the E. coli and the platinum electrodes. And I always found that an interesting story.
It was towards the end of my thesis that I noticed that there was a professor at East Lansing, Barnett Rosenberg, who did outstanding work. And while the attempts of other groups to develop metal complexes with anti-tumor activity, it was only Rosenberg using cisplatin that was really very successful. And so I applied for a fellowship in Germany, and much to my surprise, I was successful. And this is why I could join Professor Rosenberg's group in September of 1974.
Barney knew what was going on. This was from his very first experiments, the very first major result, that is observing the inhibition of cell division bacteria and resulting in, and not growth, and resulting in filamentation. He knew exactly what was at stake. He knew exactly what he was dealing with, and he knew what the potential outcome would be. He knew that if he could find the agent responsible for inducing inhibition of cell division, that he might indeed have an anti-cancer drug. And he was correct all along the way. Now he had the mind, Loretta had the eyes. Loretta Van Camp was his set of eyes, a very good set of eyes. She was excellent. And she made a number of key observations all the way along. And one weekend, she left a stock solution out in the open on the bench, exposed to sunlight. And it was that one weekend exposure that changed, that allowed them to proceed on and understand what had occurred. That light had altered the nature of the drug, making it more potent, reducing the color of it. And here's the bottom line is, there was talk, Loretta almost threw that solution out. Had she thrown that solution out, who knows where the project would have gone from that point on.
It's very clear it was a team science program, and in that way he was an innovator well ahead of his time, and I don't think that part of it's really been recognized. So that's been really inspiring for me to hear about how he worked, because it's literally what the modern biological and therapeutic world is trying to implement in the way that it makes discoveries. And that's probably one of the reasons cisplatin became a drug. It's not just that the molecule on its own worked, it takes a lot of motivation and a lot of personal energy to advance a program like that. And that's really inspiring.
Interestingly, one of my colleagues organized one of the platinum meetings in Oxford in about middle of the 1990s. And he said to me, everything that can be done's been done with platinum. We won't be having another meeting after this one. But he was wrong.
Before cisplatin, testicular cancer was a death sentence. And now testicular cancer it's cancer and it's serious, but almost every single patient is cured. It's a total turnaround. And the goal is that that's true for every single cancer and every single subtype of cancer. But I think cisplatin's an inspiring drug discovery story. And I think cisplatin's a really inspiring example of how people can work together to bring benefit to patients, which is ultimately what we're all trying to do.
To have learned that one of the drugs that saved my life was created right here by my own MSU Spartan family just makes me that much more appreciative of what it did for me. If I could say one thing to the team of people that created this drug that saved my life, it would just be a huge thank you. You have given me life, a new outlook on life, and I hope to make as big as an impact on other people my time here as you've made on me.
Every so often, something's brought to mind to remind me just how fortunate I really am to be here, to be alive, that cisplatin was part of that process. Watching my granddaughter walk through the door and run across the room, sharing a lunch with my wife, there are all sorts of things that come to mind. I have a sailboat, and when I was out on Lake Muskegon sailing, I'm thinking, this is because I'm alive, and the opportunity to be here and to be able to do things like that.
I really hope cancer is cured in my lifetime. I've been saying that now for almost 45 years, and I really want that accomplished.